views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And welcome to the new season of Open 2.0. We're the new Open 2.0 crew. Today we will be learning specifically about speech language pathologists or therapists. Joining us is Ms. Gentile, one of the speech language pathologists at Mid School High School 368 in the Bronx. She works closely with students and their families in the Bronx community to advocate for students and help them develop necessary skills. Welcome to the show, Ms. Gentile. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
You're welcome.
My name is Lev. Thanks again for coming. Can you explain exactly what a speech therapist is and what you do?
Sure. Hi, Lev. So a speech language pathologist is a professional that works with individuals from birth all the way to end of life care on different areas, including speech, your actual physical production of how you make sounds, language, not learning a second language, but having a language to use to communicate, either verbal or nonverbal, your cognition, your processing, your memory, your problem solving. It can also include your voice, feeding and swallowing, and pragmatics, like your social interactions with other people.
Wow, that's really nice. My name is Russell, and can you tell what is a speech disorder?
Sure. Hi, Russell. So a speech disorder or a speech language disorder could be one of many things. So remember before I told you all those different areas. So if you see me or another speech pathologist, it might be for one of those. So a speech disorder would be if you physically can't make those sounds or get the physical production of the sound out the proper way or the more common way. So that might be somebody with articulation errors, like my sister that, called me Sheena and she couldn't make the G sound for a while. It could be if students or adults or kids that stutter, when you get stuck. It can also be something as in, your voice is very hoarse. We can work on that with you and using techniques to kind of stop that. Language can be nonverbal or verbal. So verbal meaning coming out, nonverbal meaning gestures, right? So like if your mom or grandma or someone in your family gives you that look, right? You pick up on it, right? That's communication as well. Some people can't verbally produce, but that's the language. And it's expressive and receptive. So when we think of expressing ourselves, we think speaking, writing, and receptive, listening, understanding, and reading, right? Did I do that? Yeah. Expressive writing and speaking, and then reading and listening. And vocabulary is for both of those areas. Then again, you have cognitive disorders, pragmatics, working with other people. So those are all, little pockets that we can help that are disordered when you talk about what we're working on.
Thank you for those definitions. Hi, my name is Esra. My question is, why might someone have a problem with their speech?
So you might have a problem with your speech or your language or your cognition for a number of different reasons. Some people are born with delays due to something else. They might have an intellectual disability, or they might have another disorder such as cerebral palsy or Down syndrome or autism that might impact how they develop their language or their speech in comparison to other people. You might also develop it later on, having Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis that develops later, usually in people, that causes some speech language cognition issues. You can also get it due to some sort of trauma. So a traumatic brain injury, like in a car accident, or a lot of soldiers have traumatic brain injuries because of, what they're dealing with there and being hit in the head, or strokes, things like that. So you can develop it in any different way.
Wow, that's really great to know. My name is Hawa, and I would like to know, how would I know if I needed a speech therapist?
Hi, Hawa. So you would know you needed a speech therapist for a number of different reasons. Either you're realizing that you can't express yourself, or people aren't understanding you, or you're not understanding them, or something maybe even like for voice clients that I've had in the past, it's not that they minded the sound of their voice when it was hoarse, but their throat started to hurt because they were speaking too harshly and it was causing damage. So they would actually notice the physical pain before the other issues bothered them. But point where you feel like you're not getting your point across, or they're not understanding you, or you're not understanding them, you could, look for a speech language pathologist, speech therapist, and have them evaluate you and see if there's something we could do to help.
Thank you for the insight. This is Evan. What are some methods that you employ when dealing with somebody with a speech disorder?
Hey, Evan. So it depends on what they have, but the first thing that I do is I will definitely interview the person themselves if they can be interviewed. When I was working with kids that were 18 months though, they really couldn't tell me what was going on. They were just, noticing that they were frustrated that mom or dad or grandma or auntie wasn't understanding them. So I would want to interview anybody that is involved in that person's life and see what areas they're finding difficulty with. And then I would use what we call dynamic assessment. So when you think of the word dynamic, right, lots of different areas. So I will use lots of different tests from different places to figure out what exactly the areas of weakness are, and also your areas of strength. Because when you think about, even just in your daily lives, if you know you do something really well, you're gonna wanna use that to kind of develop the other areas. So in addition to using the dynamic assessment, the other stuff I do once I do find out their areas is I wanna make sure that whatever tools or things that I'm using are motivational. So when I was working with adults and we were working on building their voice strength and building the length of their sentences back up, I wouldn't pick sentences like the jaguar is the fastest mammal or something. I would pick, hey, Susan, can I have water? Hey, Bobby, I need this, right? So I would pick phrases that were more important for them. And even for things like students at school, I don't really necessarily want to teach them only specific vocabulary. I pick vocabulary that they're going to see across all their classes. And more importantly than that, I'm going to try and teach them the skill so that when I'm not there with them, they're like, oh, wait, Ms. G told me I should break the word apart. Usually the definition is hidden, or there's this website with a good student dictionary. I can use that. So whatever I do, I want to make sure it's motivational, easy to use, and that they can use when I'm not there. Because if you can only do something when the person is there, it's not really, I can do, maybe I can get a jump shot when somebody's, or, do a backflip if somebody's holding me. But if I can't do it when they're not there, is it really a skill I've gained, right? Exactly.
Hi, thank you. Hi, my name is Grace. What will communication look like with somebody, with a person who has a speech or language disorder?
So it could look like any number of things. It could be that they make sounds wrong, like Sheena. It could be that they only use gestures because they can't physically make sounds. It could be that, for one type of aphasia, which is something that happens after a brain injury or a stroke, they're making words, but they don't make sense to a listener. So, almost like sleep talking. They themselves understand what they're saying, but the listener doesn't. So it could look like that. It could look like stuttering, where you stammer on a certain sound or a whole phrase. That can also cause blocks. So I've seen people like before they start. So we work on smooth onset. So it's really any number of those things in that area.
What steps can we take to improve our communication right now?
Improving your communication right now is kind of the same way communication should be just in total, right? We want to do active listening. We want to try and engage some eye contact. Different cultures don't necessarily support eye contact. So I'm not, forcing you to like come and look at me in the eyes, because I know that also makes me uncomfortable sometimes. But especially during the pandemic where we kind of all are separated. I told you guys right before we started, being able to see your faces, right? And I can pick up on your cues helps me out a lot. I'm trying to think of what else. Helping your own communication, something, especially if you're speaking all day on computers, hydrating, keeping your instruments, ready to go. Try not to cause any trauma to it. No yelling. No, singing out if you can, to relieve stress, but be careful with your tool. That's it. Really listening, like sit down and have conversations with people. The same way we should have been doing before is the same way we should be doing now. When you're talking with somebody, really listen to them, show them that you're understanding. And if you don't, that's the most important part. If you don't, advocate for yourself. There's times like before, wait, can you repeat that? We're humans, right? We kind of get lost in our brains once in a while. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. That's what makes you human. You have things going on. I think of your brain as like a room full of filing cabinets. You're getting information and you're like, there's that person in your brain, like that movie Inside Out from Disney too. Like the emotion, they're going crazy and they're trying to file. Once in a while, they're like, wait, where did you want to put this? And I'm like, oh, over here. And I'm like, oh, now I missed half the conversation. You're allowed to ask somebody to clarify, right? So things like that are good to help you out with your communication.
Hi, my name is Russell. What advice do you have for young people struggling with speech disorder or family who have a loved one with speech disorder?
So if you have or somebody in your family has a speech or language disorder, I can guarantee you, this is a guarantee that I can make as a speech therapist, is that they are not alone and you are not alone in it. There are ample numbers of people that have any range of difficulties with their speech or language or cognition or their voice. My recommendation, other than knowing you're not alone, is reach out for help. If it's either for you or for somebody in your family or someone that you know, if they want support. There are different support groups, like there's a stuttering support group. There are different websites for different disorders where they can give you tools to help you out and steps that you can take to advocate for yourself or for your loved one. But if you feel very overwhelmed by it and you're not in therapy for it, I would highly recommend, especially now in this age of teletherapy where you can do this, you can get a pre-assessment or even an evaluation right over the computer and see if that's something that would benefit you.
Thank you for your information and advice, Ms. Tilly. Those were all enlightening answers. We hope to talk to you again soon. And thank you for all tuning in. Stay safe. We see you next time on Open 2.0. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
For having me.
Thank you for coming.